We have so many emotions that arise within us daily, every minute of every day. We're feeling something, and that makes life really hard sometimes. It makes our business growth really hard. And it makes it even harder when we attach certain stories and beliefs to those emotions. And the thing is that we try to outrun them so quickly. We don't want anything to do with them. We want to make them better. We want to make it more comfortable for ourselves and for others. And that's just simply not what's going to lead us to a space of freedom. So I have a lot of emotions that are arising right now, just watching one of my children go through something that's a little difficult, something he was really, really, really excited about yesterday. And then some things kind of crumbled with that today. And you can just see that visceral reaction of emotion within him. And it's hard. And it's hard not to want to save someone else and protect them from hurt and suffering. And we do this so often. We do this as business owners. We do this with our clients. We do this with our friends. We do this with our family. We try to pad that suffering instead of understanding why it's arising within us. And then what happens is we have this letdown, we have this disappointment. And then typically what we do is we take that disappointment and it now means something about us. Now it validates our experience of we're not good enough, or we're not capable, or we're not meant for something. And then that's just one more thing that we attach to ourselves. It's one more piece of our puzzle that we're putting together that validates and invalidates our ability to feel free and move into a more expansive state. And so, what does that look like? What does that look like when we start to actually use the emotions that arise within us that are mirrored from the external world? And how does that actually apply to us? How does that actually make us expand? Because what I see so often, especially in business, it's really hard to separate from that no and what feels like a failure and not make it about us, not attach that identity, not take that gut punch that we get when we receive that no and mean we have to stop, and we really crumble into the stopping versus expanding into the keep on going. And so what does it mean? What does that look like? How do we really navigate that? How do we navigate those emotions on a individual level, on that human level? And so we can see them and experience them, but it doesn't stop us. It doesn't derail us, and it doesn't become another label, an identity that we have, which likely is going to be identity that you're not good at something, or that you're not good enough, or that somebody else is wrong. So when we start to explore these emotions and we start to see, how does this actually apply to me? What can I do with this? How can I move forward with these emotions? Now we get to this question that you likely have heard a lot, or this phrase of a question everything, right? Do deep inquiry. So it really leads us into that. It really leads us into actually learning how to question things. So what does this feeling mean to me? And sometimes it's just the feeling. It's just the feeling. I feel sad. I feel disappointed. I feel let down. And then what will happen is, because of external event, I don't feel worthy because of external event. And so then that's when we have the opportunity to explore that and say, is that what it really means? Can I actually just allow myself to feel what I'm feeling? Disappointment, let down, without it meaning something else, without it having to have the label that attaches to the emotion? Can the emotion just be the pure emotion without me making a story about it, or allowing it to validate what I already think about myself, which is likely not those positive thoughts? That's what we're talking about here. So, how can I separate? How can you pull back from the feeling of the emotion and the thought that attaches to it? Well, we question it. We start to say, where is this coming from? Why is this arising within me? And what am I making it mean about me and my experience? How am I holding myself back by holding so tightly onto this story? How does this story elicit emotion within me? And why do I need it? Right? So when we start to question things, we start to actually use our thoughts as leverage. We leverage our thoughts to our benefit instead of using our thoughts to push us down a spiraled path. And so we're benefiting from what we're thinking, and we're exploring it. We're taking a step back and we're saying, why is this present? Why is this arising in me and for me? And what can I learn about it? And this even goes into our states where we're trying to save somebody else. As a coach, It's very, very common that I hear, especially as a coach who trains coaches, that I hear coaches say, it's my responsibility to create transformation for my clients. And it's simply not your responsibility to do anything for anyone else. We have responsibilities to others. So as a coach, you have a responsibility in the container to create a space for transformation. But the other person has to go through their own journey, their own suffering, their own insights, their own aha moments. They have to have their own breakthroughs. You're not responsible for that. And we do that outside of our work, right? We do that in our relationships. We do that with those that we love. We want to make it easier for the other. And we forget that sometimes what the other person needs is that moment, that breaking point for them. And so we have to step back into the state of, what is my responsibility? What am I responsible to, not for here? And we really allow ourselves to explore that. So we're using the emotion and the thought to then understand. And we're creating a level of separation from it so it's not consuming us. We're doing it in an unbiased way where we're not judging what's arising for us. And then we're not projecting our fears onto the other or our business. And these are really powerful concepts that seem very disconnected. They don't seem like they're connecting, but when you really think about it, everything's arising inside of you based off of an emotion. And when you are making decisions based off of avoiding a certain discomfort, right? You want to be more comfortable. So you want to please your clients. You don't want to hurt their feelings or make them upset. And so you're changing pieces of you in that. Then you're not allowing yourself to be present with what is. And you're following the space of lack instead of stepping into this really expansive nature. So if you want to have that successful business, if you want to really tap into a really stable self, you have to separate from those emotions and you have to look at them and question them. And then you have to ask yourself, what do I make this mean about me? How am I trying to save myself from discomfort? Or how am I trying to save somebody else from being uncomfortable? And why do I need to do that? Why can't I sit in discomfort? And why can't I allow other people to sit in discomfort? So there's so many things wrapped up into here, but it really comes down to really understanding how you can question what arises within you and what that looks like. And how can you explore that instead of trying to run away from the thought when it comes up? How can you dive into it in a way that helps you understand and separate and not be as emotionally reactive? So I have a resource that can be really helpful for you. It's called Emotionally Unstoppable. It takes these concepts, brings them together so you can actually apply them. And it goes a little bit deeper than what we talked about here. It gives you some different things for you to focus on. So I'll link that below. And I think it can be a really profound experience for you.